All right, good evening. Welcome to the 2021 CISSP Mentor Program. Let me know in the chat if you guys can hear me okay. All right, I got one perfectly. Sounds like we're good to go. All right, it's always weird when you got, when you're teaching in one place and then you see the live stream in the other place and everything's a little bit delayed. So I'm gonna go ahead and start my video. We'll get started here. So, all right, you should see me. Hopefully it's not too scary for you. I think hopefully you're still seeing things. Actually, it looks like you're just seeing a picture of me. Hold on a minute. All right, we're good. All right, here we are. 2021, man, it's crazy. All right, your video is not broken. This is actually what I look like. So sorry about that. You don't get high quality on the way I look, but you do get high quality on the course content. Really excited for this year. We've been doing this, as you know, for the last 12 years. So that's pretty cool. A lot of things to cover. I've got 119 slides to get through tonight. But tonight's kind of we're going to ease into a little bit. I'm going to give you a little background on who I am, who we are. We'll talk about the course structure. We'll talk about just some information security fundamentals. And then we'll get to what we'll do at the end. Yeah, we've got some homework. So anyway, let's get going. First of all, welcome. We're really excited. This is one of the things that's really core to our mission here at FRSecure, which is fixing a broken industry. Part of that is trying to help more people get into the industry. We're always here to help, and I think you'll enjoy it. Caution, a little bit of caution for you. It's going to be like this a little bit, not tonight so much, but as we continue to get through the course, you'll find like, oh my God, there's a ton of information. And it's true. Really, what the CISSP is it's they say it's a mile wide, an inch deep, and that's sort of the truth, which is good too, by the way, because it helps you put things into context. One of the things that you see over and over again with information security professionals, maybe ones that aren't as experienced, is their inability to put a risk or a vulnerability potentially into context with the rest of the information security program. It's always a give and take. As you make a change here, it affects something down the line. So it's really important that we get that context, and that's one of the things I really like about the CISSP Mentor Program. One of the things I don't like is there's a lot of things that you're going to be able to sort of discard or forget after you take your exam, if you plan on taking your exam. Not everybody's here to do that. So studying for the CISSP kind of feels like this. But dogs are cool. We got this. We'll be in this together and we'll get through it. Here's our introduction. First, we'll start off with what this program is, what it is, what it's not, what it's intended for. What we're hoping you'll get out of it, and what we get out of it too. I mean, there really is no strings attached, but we get a real sense of satisfaction. It's a real blessing. All throughout the year, we get emails, messages, LinkedIn posts, things like that, just thanking us for our time. And that's thanks enough, and that's payment enough when you get to help somebody else, kind of out with their career. So it's good stuff. The history of the CISSP Mentor Program, we started this thing in 2010, and I'm one of those guys where I just start a lot of things, and I'm not really sure where they're going to go. So in 2010, we started with 6 students. I didn't really know where it would go from there. It's grown a lot since then, and I was told earlier today that we've exceeded 6,000 registered students. Now you'll see on every class that we teach, there's not going to be 6,000 people here. They come and go. You'll see them in the study groups. You'll see them online. You'll see them maybe watching on video. But 6,000, that's pretty cool. And I don't think, you have to talk to the marketing people, but I don't think we're going to market to you or anything. I think you're pretty safe. We'll talk about why we do it. We'll give some success stories, and yeah, 100% free. So hope you enjoy it as much as we enjoy doing it. Yeah, I remember that guy. That was 2010. He's still around. The good news for us, for you, and for everybody really is sort of good. There's a good and a bad. The good thing is there's plenty of opportunity in our industry. Some of you might be trying to get into the information security industry and you're having trouble doing that. We hear that a lot. Unfortunately, lots of HR folks, lots of companies aren't really sure what they want in an information security person. So a lot of times they're asking for things that aren't feasible. For instance, got an email this morning from somebody, one of the students, who is frustrated. I think they said that they were sick and tired of the fact that they keep applying for positions and can't get interviews, or they're applying for entry-level positions that say a CISSP is required. Well, CISSP is not an entry-level certification. You need 5 years of experience. But don't let that scare you. So that's a problem. So it depends on where you're at in terms of, is there a real shortage in our industry? The numbers tell us there is, which means that there's opportunity for you. What we need to work on now is maybe getting HR folks and security, I guess companies looking for security personnel to maybe set their expectations a little bit better. But good opportunities, good stuff. There's our mentor program. This is what it looked like. And this is how it's grown in the last 2 years. Last year, I think we had 2,400 something students. This year we'll have, like I said, 6,000 or more. We have an exciting sort of plan for this program. We do plan on sort of moving it on to its next place, which would be recruiting additional instructors. It also includes teaching perpetually as opposed to just teaching once a year. We do this every spring. We've always done it just every spring. Yeah, lots of fun, but we're planning on doing it more often, and we will probably move it into a nonprofit so that we can get better participation from FRSecure's competitors and all that good stuff. So why do we do this? Well, we have this mission. I don't know if you know us yet, but we have this crazy mission, and it's really to fix the broken industry. So if you look at across the information security industry, there's lots of opportunity to make things a heck of a lot better. One of those things is we have a shortage of good information security talent. We need people. We need good people. We need people with, the right intangibles. You have to have some level of gifting. You need to be dependable, honest, trustworthy. Those are all really good things. We need more of that in our industry. We need more people helping other people. We don't need necessarily more people just selling more crap to more people. That's not really what we need. But this mission then leads us to this. Well, if we have the mission, we can't just sit here and say, well, sucks to suck, I guess. We have to do something about it. So this is what we did. We decided that we would start this program. We would give away training for free. Another thing that we get as a benefit, by the way, in all of this is we become better security professionals. The more you go through the repetition of this stuff, the better it makes you. So if you're thinking about at some point in your future about giving back and teaching, it'll make you a better security person. So that's good. But we had this mission, found this thing that's broken, lots of things, but this is one of those things. And we decided that we wanted to fix it. We wanted to, give back to people. So that's our why. That's why we do what we do. There's really no other reason. We're not looking for payment. I've been asked over the years, I don't know how many times, you guys should charge a little bit for this. You guys should, that's not the point. The point isn't how much money we can make. And you might see up on the top, it says mission before money. I'm going to talk about that in a little bit. We live that out. It's really, really important to us. It's kind of our purpose for existing. So that's our purpose. Your purpose could be any number of different things. You may just want to improve, on the job. Maybe you've got some security responsibilities and you just want to do better. Actually, when you think about it, we all have security responsibilities. Lots of us just don't know which ones we have. So be it. This will make you better. Pass the exam. Some of us want to take the CISSP. Some of us already have a goal of when we want to do that. Some of us already have our exams scheduled, and that's a good That's a good tactic. If you really are wanting to pass the exam, to schedule that exam and sort of, build up the pressure to get to it. It's an approach that works for some people. Some people just want to learn, start a new career. Maybe I've seen people come from all different walks. I've seen housewives become really good security people, plumbers. I mean, it doesn't really matter. You'll find that security isn't quite as complicated as we make it out to be. There's a lot to it, but it's really pretty simple, the way things just sort of fit together. Some of us want to further our career. I get a lot people that say, I want to be a CISO someday. The best answer for that is another question. Why? Why do you want to be a CISO? CISOs are under a lot of pressure. I have a lot of respect for a lot of CISOs. A CISO is a Chief Information Security Officer. I shouldn't just assume that everybody knows what that means. A Chief Information Security Officer is typically the highest level security person. They're not the ones who are ultimately responsible for information security. That lies with the CEO or the board of directors. But the CISO is really the person, two jobs, really, big jobs. One is to consult the company or advise the company on where risk is, right? And then help them make good risk decisions. That's one job. The second job is to implement those risk decisions to the best of your ability. But CISOs, man, that's a lot of work. So I don't know if you really want to do that. Teach others. Maybe you want to take this and teach others. That's great. I mean, the more people we get in this industry, the better. We fight a lot in our industry. If you're new, not really fight, but sort of fight. There's a lot of competition. There's a lot of companies out there who, claim this or claim that. The funny thing is, with all of that, we're fighting over about 20% of the market. The 80% of the market, in our estimation, hasn't even been touched. So there's great opportunity to teach others. There's great opportunity to serve those underserved markets and do all that other stuff. Make friends. I mean, we're kind of in pandemic world still, so maybe you want to make some friends. That's cool too. Whatever your purpose is, it's a good idea to write it down. It's a good idea to remind yourself why you're here, what you set out to do. As you start getting into the fire hose of information, it gets overwhelming. Have that to go back to remind you, to motivate you. As you make connections with people, either online here, or you make connections with people in the study group or through email, however you make connections with people, let them know also what your motivation is. You'll need some encouragement as you get through some of this stuff. We all do. All security people need more encouragement. So write that down. It'll help you get through all this stuff. Success stories. So we started our first class with 6 students. Like I said, we were a little more selective back then. We didn't know what we were doing. We had all 6 students were chosen by me at the time. All 6, and we paid for everything. Now that got expensive, meaning we paid for the course, the books, your exam, which was really cool. But with 6 students, that's like X number of dollars. When you do like 6,000 students, it's hard to get that approved in the budget. So we did that, and all 6 passed their exams. All 6 have gone off and had or have really good careers. It's good to be a part of that. Since then, we've grown a lot. Like I said, I think the last time we had an in-person class was in 2019 because we didn't have the pandemic. Last year, just prior to teaching, so March 23rd is when we closed the office last year, and we started our first class on April 13th. So it was a quick adjustment. We had maybe 100 seats here in our office where I'm at right now. So it didn't work out. And this year, same sort of thing. We're not having people in person, but hopefully we'll get back to that. It's really cool to meet new people. You see them come in, and we would do a barbecue at the end. Anyway, lots of stuff, lots of growth, good stuff. People who do want to pass the exam actually do end up passing the exam for the most part. Many of us come here and many of us don't really realize what the exam is. They don't understand necessarily what the CISSP is. And when they get through it, they kind of like teeter off at the end. That's normal. But if you did come here and you really are motivated to pass your exam, you will probably pass your exam. You'll have to put in the work. We can do our part. We can, talk through everything, answer questions, give examples. do workbooks, homework, all that kind of stuff. But at the end of the day, you're going to have to put in the effort. And I would say if you were to just kind of budget, it would be 2 to 3 times the effort of what you're spending in class at a minimum. So if you're here 13 classes, 2 hours each, 26 hours, think of maybe 3 times that potentially in additional study time that you're going to need. A lot of it's memorization. Memorization just requires repetition. But if 40% took their exam and 90% passed, that's 3,400 plus new CISSPs. That's pretty cool. We could employ a lot of people, do a lot of work with that. The average cost of training ish is $2,750. If you do the math, that's $26 million in free training. That's fun. It's cool to put those numbers together. It doesn't really resonate until you do the math, and then you're like, holy crap, that's a lot. Yeah, we get messages all year long. That's kind of our payment. That's, definitely payment enough. We want to restore some trust in our industry. We have a lot of money grabbers. Money grabbers are companies that really are out to just sell you stuff. A lot of that stuff you don't need or you don't know how to use. And so it ends up being shelfware. We oversold fear in our industry. Over the years, we were the ones that cried wolf so much whenever there was a breach that now nobody even cares that there's a breach. So we need to restore some trust that there is no other motivation here but what we said it is. So that's that. Here's our agenda. We're going to get through the introduction. So this next part, I'm just going to spend some time introducing myself to you. I'm not your normal CEO. I don't know if I'm even your normal security person. I'm just a guy. Yeah, it's good. And then we'll introduce you a little bit to the company, just real quick. It's not a sales thing, so you don't have to worry about that. And then we'll introduce you to Ryan, one of the other instructors that you're going to see, and Brad. Brad will be teaching on Wednesday. We'll talk about so we say we have this severe talent shortage problem. Let's get through that. None of that stuff. Now, introduction and the severe talent shortage problem, neither one of those are on the exam. It's more for your information, putting all of this sort of in context. We'll talk through the schedule, who's teaching when, what our specialties are. We'll also talk about, you may have seen that there's a domain refresh coming. I think the date is May something. The good thing is it needs a refresh. The bad thing is there's no published content really for it yet. Another good thing is myself, Brad, and Ryan are all capable of talking through any one of those topics pretty well. So I think you'll get a really good introduction to that. What is the CISSP? We don't want to take anything for granted. We want to sort of find where you're at and meet you where you're at, as opposed to just assume that you know all this stuff. And so for you, those of you that are more advanced, you're gonna be like, man, this is dry. I don't know if I want this. For those of you who are new, you'll be like, slow down a second. So we're trying to find that happy place as we get through, all this good stuff. The book itself. So our book was written in 2015. Some of you might be like, well, this is 2021 now. It's because the content didn't change from, it's essentially the same. Domains were rearranged a little bit from 10 domains to 8, maybe, and some other things, but nothing big. And then we'll get through the chapter 1, which is the introduction. That's where we'll actually crack open the book. So all good stuff. Yeah, better you know us, the better you use us. We're all pretty approachable sort of people. We are here to help and serve. The biggest problem you'll have with us, or me anyway, and I think Ryan and most of us, is we're really busy. Our company is growing. We're serving a lot of people. So we might just be slow in getting to you, but we will get to you. This space is for you. This is the organizational stuff. And then this is the meat. If you get to know me, you'll know how much I love bacon. So if you want to bribe me, don't give me money. I'll just piss that away. If you want to bribe me, give me bacon. I'll do pretty much anything. All right. So every once in a while, I'm going to drop in these dad jokes. And I do that for a reason. I want to sort of just slow down the pace a little bit. Plus, I want to make sure you're sort of paying attention. Now, if we were in class, it'd get a little more awkward because I would wait for answers and stuff and maybe point fingers, but I can't do that when we're online. But first, a joke. Why is it a bad idea to iron your four-leaf clover? I suppose I could give you a second or two in the chat, but I'm not gonna. The reason is you don't want to press your luck. Oh, yeah. But wait, there's another one. I got another one. Hold up. Another one. Why do fathers take an extra pair of socks when they go golfing? This one should be, you got this one for sure, right? In case you get a hole in one. Whatever. Okay, me. This is me. This is, I don't know if that's what I look like on a good day or a bad day. Got this beard, whatever. This actually started 2 years ago, 3 years ago. I was too lazy to shave, and then just kept being too lazy to shave, and then kept being too lazy to shave, and then my wife liked it, so now it stays on me. CEO, co-founder of FRSecure and Security Studio, FRSecure 2008, Security Studio 2017. FRSecure is an information security consulting company. The most amazing group of people I could ever ask to work with or represent. They're just incredible. And then Security Studio, also incredible people. But that's a software as a service company. What we did is we took some of the stuff that we do really, really well at FRSecure and put it onto a software platform, and then made it available to everybody, including our competitors. Didn't make a lot of business sense at the time, but it made a heck of a lot of mission sense, and that's why it is what it is. It's good. Co-inventor of Security Studio, or the S2 platform. It's a platform, a simple, easy to use. You'll find that with information security, complexity is the worst enemy. So we need to simplify wherever you can. And it's funny how we do this. It's just human nature. How we can screw things up from a 2, 3, 4-step process that works perfectly well and make it into a 30-step process that nobody can understand. The harder it is to understand, the harder it is to secure, right? So simplicity is always your friend. So always look for areas where you can simplify things. Security Studio was built for that. S2 Org is an organizational risk assessment tool. S2 Vendor is a vendor risk management tool. S2 Team is a team information security management tool that leverages information from the S2 Me, which is a free consumer personal information security risk management tool. So yeah, all that stuff works together. It's pretty cool. It's just all tight. And then co-inventor of the S2 score. We say, when I get to what information security is, it's about risk management. Well, you can't manage things that you can't measure. So you have to implement some form of measurement. And that's where the S2 score came in. Now we tried a lot of different scoring mechanisms. First, we tried words, right? We thought, well, numbers, we'll just make it simple, but words, well, that didn't work. Then we used A, B, C, D, F. And then it wasn't uncommon to have a board of directors say, well, C's get degrees. So that sort of missed the point too. So now we score everything on a scale of 300 to 850, which is the same as your personal credit report. If you're in, I don't know if it's, I think it's international, but certainly in the US, people understand that. So when I tell, when we tell a CEO that your S2 score is a 400, they get it. It doesn't require a lot of explanation on how bad that is. So lots of companies use that over time. It is quantitative. Quantitative meaning we're going to talk about quantitative and qualitative risk analysis in the course. The main difference is quantitative is much more binary, right? It's a lot of times people will use dollar amounts to say that it's quantitative. That's one way you can do it. You can also just assign numbers that are consistent. They can be compared one against the other. That's also a quantitative measurement. Qualitative was kind of your opinion, right? Your expert opinion. That's the difference. Co-host a couple of shows, the Unsecurity Podcast, which I'll give you, how you can go find that. It's, we do the Unsecurity Podcast. We've been approached lots of times for, well, do you want to monetize your podcast? No, not really. Don't really want to monetize it. Just want to talk, right? See if people get value out of it. That's kind of what the Unsecurity Podcast is. And then the Security Shit Show, which is me, Chris Roberts, and Ryan Cloutier. Thursday nights, we do it live. We just talk about some, I don't know, deep troubling security issue, kind of bitch about it a little bit, and then figure out, how would we solve the problem. It's sort of fun. It's more therapy, I think. Tell the truth, always tell the truth, which gets you in trouble sometimes. I've been kicked out of board meetings for telling the truth. People don't invite me to parties because I tell them the truth. That's all right too. Simplify everything and serve everyone. It's all really, really important stuff. Yeah, I definitely look better as a cartoon. I don't know what I'm going to do about that. Figure out something. Other stuff about me: advise legal counsel on a lot of high profile breaches. If you're in security long enough, you're just in the right place at the right time. You find yourself in some interesting spots. The Target breach was sort of fun. I used that one because everybody's kind of heard of that one. That was back in 2013 now. Yeah, really interesting breach. A lot of good stories that I can't really share because it was, so much confidentiality in that one. Legal counsel, Blue Cross Blue Shield, post breach, all that kind of stuff. Yeah, it's me. It's what I do. Roger hit it right. Roger's going to be on the podcast. If you don't know who Roger Grimes is, I think he's probably written 12, 13 books. I don't know if I have one here. Maybe I do. Hold on. No, I took it out of my bag. Sorry. Roger's really, really cool. Super cool dude. He's going to be on the Unsecurity podcast, I think, in a couple of weeks. So you get to hear kind of what he thinks about security stuff. Good friend. But he's right. I don't like bullshit. Just don't. So whatever. In the book, yes, there's a book. Unsecurity is the book. Writing another one now with Brad. So Brad, you'll see Brad on Wednesday. The book we're writing about now is it's a vCISO handbook. So how to do vCISO the right way. There are probably multiple right ways to do vCISO work. vCISO meaning virtual chief information security officer. But if you don't have these, 10 criteria built into your vCISO program, you're not doing it right. That's kind of what it comes down to. Yes, that's my Russian friend. That's Serge. He's a really good dude. Brosnan Risk now is where he works. And then that's Leslie, a Chinese friend. And this was sort of a joke, but now people are much more touchy nowadays than they were before. But I used to say, if you want to be in information security, it's a good idea to have a Russian friend and a Chinese friend. I still think it is, but some people don't find that as humorous anymore. All right, more about me. This is my family. These are it's my kid and my wife there. ADD is my superpower. So you see a whole bunch of stuff that I do all the time. Yet for ADD to be your superpower, you have to get comfortable, I think, with like 80 things on your task list and maybe 40 of them are about 20% done. And the others you probably haven't started yet. That's kind of what it's like to be an ADD person. There's the Unsecurity podcast. There's a picture of me with a shorter beard, and that's Brad. That's a picture of the book. If you wanted to go find the podcast, FRSecure.com/podcast. And then there's the shit show, which is live on YouTube. If you Google it, you'll find it. Right. That's all fine and dandy, right? Accomplishments and all that stuff that you do. But that's not why I do what I do. And the reason why I think it's important to point this out is I think the best security people are servants. And they serve from a place, maybe they serve from a place of love, right? So this is why I do what I do. There's our core values. That's really, really important to me. We live and die by those because it keeps us honest in what we do. You win awards, great, all that stuff. But this is why. These are the people that I get to work with, every day. These are the people I get to serve with every day. These are the people that fight the battles with me every day. This is what I do. This is why I do what I do. It's people. So lots of people, lots of secure stuff. Here's Serge again. There's stories behind every one of these pictures. I'm not going to go through all of them because then we'd be here all night. But that's my son and my grandson. It's cool. And my son and my mom, my family. This is why. This is truly why what drives everything. It's love. It's love for people. Love's kind of one of those words that's been stolen. I don't think it means what a lot of people think it means. it's serving people. It's doing what you think is in their best interests. And I think the best CISOs, the best security people in our industry come from here. They may not admit it, but it's the truth. This is what makes you really, really good. And here's the truth too. At the bottom, you'll hear a lot of truths from me because I like to share, the wisdom I accumulate over the years. Information security is not about information or security as much as it's about people. And there's two reasons why that's true. Very justifiable. One is people are the ones who suffer when things go wrong. If nobody suffered, then why would anybody care? The other reason is people are generally the cause of the issue most of the time, right? So people, we have to focus on people. It's always people. And I can't stress that enough. People. Here's Brad. Now I didn't put together Brad's whole bio. You'll be able to meet him on Wednesday and he can tell you some stuff about himself. But it's really cool to work with Brad. Brad's a nice guy, talented as hell, legit. 20 years overall IT experience, started with FRSecure back in 2016. So he's in his 5th year. I think this is his 4th year teaching in the program. So that's really cool. Principal security consultant. What that means is he just creates a whole bunch of stuff and takes other people's stuff and makes it better, but does it in kind of a servant sort of way. I mean, he doesn't take credit for a lot of the stuff he does. So it's a cool cat. CISSP mentor program lead, workshop series lead. He co-hosts the Unsecurity podcast with me. He's got a whole bunch of certifications. Yeah, this guy is driven to serve. This is just from his LinkedIn profile. And it's funny, he says a passionate. That's like one of those words too, because he's got it on his. When we get to Ryan's, he's got a passionate too. I don't have a passionate on mine. I should put that, a passionate something. But this is him. Specialized in a whole bunch of stuff. So right now, I think his key area of focus, which you may have heard of, is CMMC. CMMC is, if you want to do business with the Department of Defense, eventually you're going to have to get your CMMC certification. And Brad's been focusing a lot of his time on that, doing some really cool stuff. So he's my go-to guy for that, as well as a whole bunch of other things. 100% mission driven, which is like awesome because you don't have to think what's the motive. What are you positioning for? He's not. And definitely the kind of guy you want to hang with, especially if you like barbecue. So hit Brad up for barbecue. I can give you his address. If you hit me up offline, just don't tell him I did it. It'll be cool. And this is Ryan. Ryan works at Security Studio. Ryan is also a principal security consultant, probably due for a promotion. He's the right hand and the left hand man for me, meaning he's so bought into the mission and he's so highly skilled. You just give things to him, or he just takes things on and you don't even worry about it. You come back later and it's done. It's done right. That's what makes him, among many other things, really, really cool. He's also the go-to guy for K-12 and education, and pretty strong in state and local government. So this is a guy for kind of all of that stuff. See, passionate. There's the word, passionate. I feel like I got to go check my LinkedIn. I don't know if I'm passionate or not. I'll do that later. Prolific keynote speaker. So Ryan's, one of his biggest or greatest skills is he's an extrovert, which is different from me. I'm an introvert. So every time I go to a conference, I just want to take a nap. Whereas Ryan gets his energy and he wants to just go. Mission driven, absolutely 100%. And also a guy you want to hang out with. Ryan likes to do blacksmithing. So if you want him to blacksmith you something, it's pretty cool. Right, so that's us. And I'd be remiss if I didn't mention all the people that put work into this program behind the scenes that you never meet. Brandon Mattis is one that, kind of mans everything, organizes everything. He's the one that makes sure that everybody gets what they need, and the whole marketing team. So we didn't get to where we're at without some good marketing and getting the word out. That's really, really cool. We also have, half dozen FRSecure folks that are in and out, that are moderating the chat and doing all kinds of other cool stuff. A lot of times you don't see them, but they're putting in effort too. And our sales folks. I mean, this is a real company kind of thing. Our sales folks, go out and try to get more people into the program. I think everybody's sort of bought in. So that's really, really cool. Right. FRSecure, this is us, expert level. meaning expert level is kind of cool because that just means we do the stuff that we're really good at. Doesn't mean we're really good at everything. It just means that I'm not going to play a game that I don't think I can win. That's expert level. Product agnostic. So if we're a consulting company and we tell you your firewall sucks, it probably wouldn't make good sense for us to be selling firewalls also. That wouldn't help the broken industry. It'd make us more money, but that's not the point. So product agnostic, 2008, didn't really start to 2010. That's because I'm a security guy. I'm not a business guy. So it took me 2 years just to figure out what the hell a business was. All mission, all the time. 7 core values, 10 principles. Here's our services that we do. We do a whole bunch of things. I would put a lot of our team up against the best in the industry and a lot of stuff they do. It's really that good. All right, so mission all time, fix the broken industry. Here's our core values. These are our 10 commandments. Not that you need, none of this is on the test, but it just helps you to understand us a little bit more. Tell the truth, number 1. There's really no compromise there. Collaborative, supportive, do whatever it takes, committed, balance. That's the one we struggle with the most, believe it or not. Number 6 there. Having balance, work hard, play hard. A lot of us work really hard. A lot of us forget to play hard. I won't point fingers, but you know who I'm talking about. We all buy into who we are, what we do, and where we're going. And then there's our 10 commandments, which we'll cover again a little bit. Hacklebox, if you like hacking stuff, especially a lot of newer security people like the penetration testing side of things, the technical testing side of things, because it's a little sexier, a little more fun, a little more covert. Policies. Who likes to do policies? Well, this is one place you can kind of always tune in to what's going on with the penetration testers, the IR folks, incident response folks. It's really good. They just did their last one last Friday, but they're all recorded, so you can go watch them anytime you want. Then there's our awesome management team. They're all like my favorite. Wait a second. There you go. That's better. That's there's our management team. All outstanding people. And lots of awards. Awards don't do you much. All right. So this mission before money thing, real quick, what is that? Why, you see it up on the top right there. What does that mean? It means that there's a lot of this in our industry. This is us. We're going to do things. There's a rule at FRSecure, and we never had to do it. It's not really written either, that if you sell a customer something that they don't need, I'll run you over with my truck. I have an F-250, so I can get over some pretty big people. I really met somebody I don't think I could get over them with my truck, but I've never had to do it. And it's a joke, obviously. I would never actually hurt anybody. But what it means is that we're really, really, really serious. When you talk about fixing the broken industry, the way we apply that is we're never going to do, actually, let me rephrase that. The only things we're going to do are the things that contribute to the fix and not to the brokenness. So when you look at a project, you ask yourself, is this going to make the industry better or is this going to make it worse? If it's going to make it worse, we're not going to do it, period. And it doesn't just have to be in the service that you're providing. It can also be the price. I've gotten upset on, projects I've seen over the years where I think we charged more than we should have. Say for an assessment. You spend all your money on an assessment, and what money do you have left for remediation of those unacceptable risks? There's only so many dollars to go around. So anyway, that's what the mission before money thing. Now, that picture was at RSA this last 2020, which was sort of counterculture, because if you've ever been to RSA before, that's one of the biggest conferences of the year for security people. There's 2 of them that are the biggest. It'd be RSA and be Black Hat. DEF CON isn't as big, but if you're into the technical hacking type stuff, then DEF CON would be the biggest one for that. So we were at RSA last year, and the money grab was alive and well. There was some crazy stuff. There was in one booth, they had a $1 bill hanging from a fishing rod in a string, and they're having people jump to get this stuff. And that's how overtly, seriously, man, that's not fixing nothing. So that's us. That's why we do it. A little bit about Security Studio. That's these guys. Yeah, I've already talked about the platform. I've talked about kind of the stuff on the platform. This is made for anybody. You don't have to be an information security expert. It is all in English, so we don't have translations other than S2Me, I think, is recently translated into Hebrew, which is sort of cool. But all these, that's basically, if you understand English, you should be able to get through these assessments and these tools fairly simply, because that's the point, is to make it simple. And that's, I didn't make up the saying, complexity is the worst enemy of security. That was actually Bruce Schneier, and another one of those iconic kind of people in our industry. Bruce has been around for a long time. Actually wrote the best ever book, in my opinion, on cryptography. So if you are kind of intimidated by encryption and cryptography and knowing what all that is, there's a big red book that he wrote. It's called Applied Cryptography, and that would be your book to go master that. It's all good stuff. This is just pictures of what the platform looks like, you know, understanding what the security posture is today, how it's trending, where it's gone, all that kind of stuff sort of plays into that. You'll see administrative, physical, internal, and external technical controls. There's a reason for that. That fits with our definition of what information security is. Yeah, that stuff. And stay till the end. We do have some homework at the end of tonight. So about halfway through. All right, so that's enough. Enough talking about us. If you're on your phone playing a game, you can put it away now, because we're going to get to some other stuff now. So we have this severe talent shortage issue, or so we've been told. If you're a job seeker and you've been out looking for a security job, like there was a guy, what was his name? Ken. Can't remember his last name. He was on our podcast a while back, but he was keynoting at B-Sides, which is a security conference in Harrisburg. I was talking there, and he was giving the keynote. And this guy had just this amazing experience, right? He was reverse engineering malware back in the 80s, maybe. Just all this crazy experience, and he couldn't find a job. And so he was like, how could you not be finding? So I followed up with him after the conference. I'm like, tell me why you can't find a job. It's like, well, I'm not sure. So then we had him on the podcast so he could tell everybody else why he can't find a job. And then if you got something, you know, hook him up. Well, he, I think it came down, I mean, I think it came down to ageism. I think he was just too old, but he did find a job, and he is on his feet now. So that's amazing. It's really good stuff. Because, man, the experience, I'm going to talk too about this talent shortage thing. I'm going to tell you 3 things. There's only 3 things we need to make a great security person. There's only 3 ingredients. So good stuff. All right, so chapter 10 of the Unsecurity book. If you are going to get that book, you don't have to get that book. Honestly, who reads anymore? There's not going to be a movie, I don't think. So if you're going to wait for the movie to come out and just watch that, it ain't going to happen, I think, with this one. But anyway, it's a reference, chapter 10. There's no shortage of stories about impending doom around this talent shortage problem, which sort of torques me a little bit, because we've oversold fear so much in our industry. And fear is a good motivator, but not when you oversell it, right? That children's tale about the boy who cried wolf, was that Hans Christian Andersen? Somebody, whoever wrote that, a lot of wisdom in that. Another take, this one's from me on, this is just a cybersecurity intelligence, where I wrote an article, if you want to read about that, about the easy button solution. We live in this society today, which is different. I grew up in a military family where, I mean, you were just taught to work hard. You know, we had that work ethic kind of instilled in me from an early age. I'm not sure that exists as much as it used to, maybe. Because we live in this kind of easy button, instant gratification sort of world today, where people want it now, and they want it, and they don't want to have to work for it. But if you want to solve these problems, if you want to solve problems like this one, for sure, there's no easy button. It's going to take a hell of a lot of work, and it's going to take a lot of coordination for us to get together. And that's really what that article is about. Some people do claim that there is no shortage, especially the people that are struggling to find jobs. There might be another reason, by the way, on why you can't find a job. It may not be the market. and I hate to tell people this, but it might be you. That's always, you just need to go through the checklist of possible causes of why I can't find a job, and then correct the problem. Here's all the impending doom stuff. So skills shortage, creating recruitment chaos, 3.5 million unfilled jobs by 2021. Well, it is 2021. I don't think there's 3.5 million unfilled jobs, but that was supposed to be the thing. There are tons of unfilled jobs, but I don't know if it's 3.5 million. The most recent article here is the one, Forbes is the one on the middle right. As the end of 2020 approaches, the cybersecurity talent drought gets worse. So everywhere you read, it's like, oh my God, we don't have enough people. And I agree, we don't have enough people, but it's also not necessarily a cause for panic. It's a cause for like action, right? Create some solutions and start, addressing the problem. It's an interesting skill set too, by the way, for incident response. If you ever want to become an incident responder, panic isn't a good response. Just saying. They usually say that like this face you see right now is my panic face. It's also my super happy face. It's my really depressed face. It's just my face. I think maybe I'd be a good poker player. All right, here's some stuff. This is from CyberSeek. So CyberSeek's a good resource, I think. I'm not sure how accurate it is, but it's one that's referenced all the time. And they got cool graphics and stuff. So if you look across the country, Florida, Texas, California, North Carolina, Virginia, New York, Maryland, is that Rhode Island, whatever. Those are the places where there's the most significant need for security. So if you want to live in any of those places, maybe that's going to help you. I don't know. Then usually the less populated states. So, Wyoming, Montana, North and South Dakota. But it's kind of interesting stuff. This is what it looks like from a metropolitan area perspective. Looks like just about every metropolitan area is dark blue, every big metropolitan area. It's interesting that in Colorado, it's not much. I'd expect more in Denver, but this is what it looks like. Then more data. Now there's one important thing here. You can see we have 900, according to CyberSeek. I don't want to say that this is fact because, oh, geez, that's another thing you'll know in our industry. We suck at data. Just saying. When your best data breach reports come from Panama, or the ISACs, which are threat analysis centers, where they're trying to share threat data in specific industry sectors. But in general, is it working again yet? Yo, can you hear me? Help. Ryan, text me. Oh, yes, for now. All right, good. So 941,904 people employed in our industry, 521,617 people not employed, meaning we need to fill those positions. Mentioned before, 3.5 million is what the data or what the study says, the prediction. There's a disconnect there. But anyway, we know that we do have some open positions, and it's kind of cool when you look at the certification holders per openings requesting certification. The number one most requested certification is the same one we're talking about in this class. So it is the CISSP, which is good. It is sort of the gold standard for our industry, for better or for worse. I think the biggest strength, like I said earlier, for the CISSP is the breadth of it, right? It really helps to put security into context. Certainly, if you're going to be in like a security management position, it's really important to put security into context, because the decisions you're making, you're going to be taking resources from other things that might be more important. You just need to weigh things out really well. Did I really freeze up again? You got to be shitting me. Ryan, keep texting me. Keep telling me. Not sure what the deal would be. Let's close this, close this, close that, close that, close that, close that, close that. Any better? I don't even know if I want to refresh the browser. I don't know what that does to the stream. I'm doing it. Whoa, we lost a lot of connections. Is this better? Better be better. All right. Keep going. All right, we're going. CISSP, go get it. It's good. That's the important thing. I think the biggest thing about this graphic is that the CISSP is the most sought after by a 2-to-1 margin, at least, or almost a 2-to-1. CISA is also big. CISA, the Certified Information Security Analyst or Information Security Auditor, sorry. That one's put on by ISACA, if you're interested in said things. Auditing isn't the same as security, really, but ISACA is a good organization. It stands for Information Systems Audit and Control Association, if you're interested in that. If I were to get 2 certifications in this industry, depending on where you want to go, if you want to go the penetration testing hacking side, OSCP is where you want to go. Offensive Security Certified Professional. If you want to do management stuff, like more security management type things, get not quite as detailed, technical, in the weedsy stuff, CISSP and CISM. That's a Certified Information Security Manager. Certifications are good, as well as CISA. So all good stuff. Lots of opportunities to, you'll find your way. If you're new to this industry, you'll find your way into what fits, right? What works best. But don't be afraid to try stuff out. Don't be afraid to take a step into maybe endpoint security or, managing firewall systems administration, whatever. You'll find your place. I started myself in networking. So in the 90s, I was a Cisco guy. So I just sort of dated myself. I was teaching Cisco classes as well as doing consulting during the day. And back in the 90s, it was nuts. I mean, it was more Wild West than it is today. They would pay you like crazy money just for a certification. It's not quite like that now, but I started in networking. And so that was really nice for me because it gave me a really solid foundation of technical stuff, right? How do 2 computers, how do 2 systems talk on a network? And then from there, you just build up on top of it. That's kind of how you build your skill set too, right? Start with a foundation and then build on top of it. So good stuff. And that. So the certification, and there's how many people. Now, this is important too, because I don't know if, like, we all live kind of in the real world and stuff. So not everybody I talk to is a security expert. Not my wife isn't. My family isn't, well, except for a couple of them. But those are the people that I'm always telling to do stuff, right? I mean, those are the people, hey, stop clicking on links, choose strong passwords, whatever. There's this 941,904-ish people, if that number is actually accurate, that sort of speak my language. I can talk security with those people. I can go to a conference and geek out all day long. But in context, that's us. And these are to scale. So the entire population in the United States, 330 million, or that little dot right there. Those are the normal people. And I say they're normal because the way normal works is like the majority or most of, or what's common. That's that, right? We're not normal. We're different. We don't speak, they don't speak our language natively. So then we need to translate our language into theirs. Because even as recent as like, I think last week or this week, a couple of times, somebody said, well, when we were talking about the frustration of users or, the people we serve, right? People we're trying to protect, there's this frustration, like, well, why do they keep clicking on links? What's their problem? And then somebody said, well, you just got to talk down to them. You talk down to their level. Well, that implies that there's an intelligence difference here. Don't go there, because that's just going to lead you to a big ego, and that's not going to get the point across. It's not an intelligence thing. It's a language thing. It's almost like saying, I speak German, you speak English. Well, if I, have to use small words for you, English speaking person, is it an intelligence thing or is it a translation thing? Is one language better than the other? It's none of those are the point. We just have to figure out a way to translate. We have to figure out a way to motivate those. So I think that's important, because we walk around all day and it's easy to get kind of stuck in your box of other security people without realizing that most of us don't speak that language. And that's also important because a lot of the HR people, the people that are hiring you, also don't speak that language. They'll be asking for skills that don't exist yet, or they'll be asking for skills that number of years of experience that you couldn't possibly have because the technology hasn't been around that long yet. That's an indication that they don't speak the same language we do. So that's what it is. Other truth, cybersecurity ventures. That's that Robert Herkiewicz, the guy, Shark Tank guy. He is part of this cybersecurity ventures. They're the ones who sort of initially came up with this 3.5 million unfilled cybersecurity jobs this year, up from 1 million in 2019. It's true that the problem's probably getting worse, but I don't know if it's as bad as they say it is. Global shortage of 2 million cybersecurity professionals by 2019. That actually did come true. That was ISACA. So I mentioned who ISACA is, right? That's Information Systems Audit and Control Association. 70% of organizations report being impacted by a worker shortage. If you talk to most security people, we're overworked. There is a burnout problem in our industry. We need more help. We need more support. We need more people. We need you. So just don't be a jerk, and I think you have a really good chance. So we are outnumbered. I don't know if we're we're outnumbered. I was going to elaborate more on that, but we are. American salary, $90,000 a year. Those who hold security certifications can make more. Don't think that we also have this expectations thing in our industry. There's lots of people who come really with no experience and are expecting numbers like that. That's not how it works. You will get there if you stay with it, but coming right out of college with a degree in computer science, that's not going to get you that. Even having a master's degree in cybersecurity probably isn't going to get you that without experience. But average, maybe salary for cybersecurity folks is that. And the saddest one here is cybercrime. If you added up all of the organized crime around the drug trade, around the mafia, all that stuff, if you added all of that up, it wouldn't amount to that number. And that number is pretty accurate, $6 trillion. That's a big deal because that's money that comes from legitimate business and goes to illegitimate business. It's a different economy. So that is a problem. All right, private sector, public sector. So some of us like to work in the government, some of us don't. This is kind of what that looks like. But the important thing here too is in both cases, it's the CISSP that is the most sought after certification. So that's good. Get that CISSP. So then good. I mentioned this thing about good security talent. What is good security talent? Good is subjective, right? I may think it's good, but you don't think it's good. So what is it? Is it good or not? I don't know. That's a lot of that in our industry too. And this came to a front and it sort of torqued me, made me angry. something like that. After the Equifax breach, so the Equifax breach wasn't all that long ago, the CISO there at the time, or the security officer, was Susan Malden. And Susan, she's good. I mean, she had some chops. I mean, she was really good. But in our rush to judgment on her, it was called out that she had a bachelor's degree in music composition. So that must make her unqualified. And there were a lot of people that kind of went that way with it. That is absolutely 100% wrong. Education, there's lots of ways to get education on information security, especially information security. Books, things like what we're doing here, webinars, conferences, training sessions. You don't have to have a degree to be really, really, really good in our industry. My degree is geology, so that's rocks. I'd be really interested, if I'm still in geology, I'd be really interested in the volcano that's going off right now in St. Vincent. I'd be like, wow, that is cool. I want to study that. I'm not really doing that. So a lot of us get here without a degree. So if you don't have a degree in information systems or security, don't worry about it. It's not that big a deal. This I can't remember who his name was that wrote this, but yeah, it didn't bode well with many of us in our industry. Most of us, I don't know if it's most, but a lot of us don't have these kinds of degrees. We also had some other things about Susan Malden's lack of educational qualification. So this went all the way up to the Senate Intelligence Committee meeting, where the CEO, Richard Smith, was called. If you ever watch these sometimes, these are fun. The last one that they just had was around the SolarWinds breach. And they had Kevin Mandia, the CEO of FireEye, the new CEO of SolarWinds was there. Brad Smith, the president of Microsoft, was there. And George Kurtz, he's the CEO and president of CrowdStrike. They were all there giving testimony. Interesting, for sure, to say the least. But watching stuff like that is fun. If you get like a hankering for security, like this is something that you really want to do, you'll start finding yourself doing weird stuff like that. But anyway, the point here is Susan Malden's lack of educational qualifications didn't have a thing to do with the breach. Not a thing, not even like 8 degrees of a thing. So it was sad to see her, because after that, she, in terms of experience, she was the CISO for Sun Bank and a number of other good-sized organizations, and done fantastic jobs. So the fact that she had to pay the price here was sad to watch. She actually, I don't know if she's back on LinkedIn again, but she was off LinkedIn for a long time because she kind of had to go into hiding. So sad. Again, why do you want to be a CISO for that? Talk to CISOs. Talk to CISOs. Ask them, are they glad they're a CISO? I talked to the CISO for Domino's Pizza, big company. And we were having coffee in Ann Arbor, and I asked him, so kind of at the top, right? I mean, you're the CISO of a large company. What do you do next? He was like, gosh, I guess I didn't even think of that. I think the average tenure for a CISO is maybe 8 years. And I think after the 8 years, most CISOs in larger organizations end up burning out or retiring. It's a stressful job. Right. So what makes good security talent? Some people, what is good, right? Can you be a good security person without a CISSP? 100% yes. Can you be a good security person without a degree? 100% yes. But there's one thing you can't be a good security person without, and that's the intangibles. Those are the things that we can't teach you. So these are the 3 ingredients, I think, that make the right mixture of these 3 ingredients makes you the right kind of security person for what it is you're looking for. So I'm a needs-driven hiring usually. It is good to have some bench strength in certain areas, but those intangibles, those are the things we can't teach. Either you've got them or you don't. They're non-negotiable. Are you a culture fit? Are you somebody we can hang out with regularly? Because God knows how many hours we spend at work doing stuff. Or will I have to redo your work all the time and will it get frustrating for me? Will I start having resentment? All that kind of stuff. So being dependable, honest, obviously truth is our number one core value. So if you have trouble with that one, it's not going to work. But those intangibles, you can't teach them. And then you also see sometimes people that they desperately want to be a hacker, right? They want to be a penetration tester. They want to be a red teamer, but they just don't. You don't have the aptitude for technical things that are required. So what do you do then, right? Intangibles are important. Gifts, those things you can't teach. Then there's education and experience. Education is actually the easiest one. Education, I can go at whatever pace I want to go at. I can get it in all kinds of different ways. I can do it for free or I can pay for it. You have so many options with education. So if we're going to put all our eggs in that education basket, you're putting it in the easiest one there is to get. And that's an easy one. The next one is experience. Experience comes with time. This is real patience. You don't know what it's like to take down an entire network because you did your firewall config change on a Friday and you didn't wait for the change window. You don't know what that feels like unless you've done it. Not that I've done it. I'm talking about a friend. But those experience things, you don't learn them any other way. You don't learn. You can do scenarios and role play as much as you want, but experience is really, really important. So those are the three things. When you look at somebody, so when you're building your own, right, ask yourself, do I have the aptitude for this? You have an aptitude for something in security, 100%, because it's so broad. There's so many places where we can plug people in. We can plug business people in. We can plug in numbers people. We can plug in accountants. We can plug in auditors. We can plug in hackers. We can plug in, you name it, developers. That's another thing I get asked a lot is, do I have to be a developer? Do I have to be a coder to get into this industry? No, you don't. If you're going to be doing coding, it would be a good idea. But there's lots of jobs in this industry that don't require coding. So you'll start to figure out kind of your own mix as you make your way, make your path, and you start shooting for some of these positions. You'll start to shore up. I might need a little more education on this. I don't really know what this is. And then go get some experience. Now, the catch-22 there is the classic one. In order for me to get experience, I have to have experience. In that case, it's going to take some creativity and some patience, probably. All right. Other things, supply demand. That's essentially what it is. So these are the problems. When I talk about what are the problems with this in our industry, we have a supply problem. So we don't have enough security people to fit the demand, to fit the seats. So we do things like the CISSP mentor program. There are college degree courses, all over the country, all over the world. There's cyber, all kinds of free places to get training. That's all meant to increase the supply. We also have a lot to work to do in K-12. We have a lot of kids that don't have life skills. Information security really is a life skill, right? You can't get away from it. Everybody, actually, when you think about it, everybody's sort of a CISO. If I'm not a CISO at work, I'm probably a CISO at home if I'm head of household, right? I still have those same sort of responsibilities where I got to make good security choices. I need to, watch out for the people that are under my care, whether it be my kids, whether it be my wife, whatever. Anyway, we have the supply issue. We also have this, on the other side of that, the acquisition piece. Most growing security consulting companies, most growing security companies, most growing companies, period, are probably hiring for a security person. The acquisition problem, though, is oftentimes you're asking for things that you don't even know what you're asking, right? You take a job description that you saw online, you download it, change the header, upload it. That's what I'm looking for. If you're a little more specific on what specifically you needed to get done, I think you'd have a better job at acquiring skills. I also think if you had a good culture, you'll attract people. I know that at FRSecure, we're really, really fortunate to have, kind of a pool of people that I think we can pull in when we need them. Retention is another issue. So retention, and that's in our industry, people jump, right? Because if I'm shooting for that $90,000 a year, and right now I'm making 50, and I get 60, and then I get 80, and then 90, and just keep jumping until you get. Eventually, if you jump too much, that might catch up with you, because it shows kind of a lack of loyalty, lack of dependability, potentially lack of trust. Especially if you're going to become a CISO, because if you're a CISO, you got to be trustworthy, right? You're not going to just take our stuff and go somewhere else or whatever. But we do find it difficult sometimes. I think if you have a good culture and a good mission behind you, I think you can improve your retention. Find out what people are motivated by and give them that if it's worth it for you. Culture, we do have a bro culture problem. This has gotten better, I think, over time. But it made it really difficult for women to get into this industry for a long time. And it still is hard. There's still idiots who say things they shouldn't say and do things they shouldn't do. And we do still have this bro culture. Now, I point this stuff out because I want to be honest. I don't want you to get into this industry and go, wish somebody would have told me. Now it is getting better. I also don't want to scare people away. I don't want to scare, if you're a female, don't let this intimidate you. You got a lot of people who will back you up and a lot of people that will defend you as you're doing what you're doing in this industry. So don't worry about that. But just be aware of it. Don't let it be a shock. There's also a lot of ego in our industry. And I think a lot of that comes from, the fact that we view ourselves as being very specialized. We talk a language that you don't understand. We can hack stuff. I can compile a kernel. All right. So we get this kind of like I'm better than you sort of attitude. That also happens within our industry. Do me a favor. Don't call somebody who's new into this industry. Don't call them a noob. That's really just putting them down. Try to build people up, right? Try to make people feel good about themselves. Encourage them to continue down the path, to continue being, the best them they can be. And then we are definitely lacking the minority perspective. And I'm not saying this to be politically correct. Anybody who knows me knows I'm not politically correct. I'm saying this because these perspectives are really, really important to solving difficult problems. So we need to do something about that. If we're going to build security controls, build security programs that protect society, then we should represent society. And this has come into play so many times. I don't know. Like people seem to attract like people, so it's not uncommon for me. My natural instinct would be my management team would be a bunch of people that look like me, right? A bunch of white guys. And we would sit there and, it's nothing wrong with that necessarily, but then you get to a certain point where you realize like the same discussion happens here week after week. There's not a fresh perspective because we went through this ourselves. And that's when we hired Renee, our first female executive, and it changed everything. The perspective, it hit home so hard. It was like, my God, this makes a lot of sense because now we're looking at things from a different angle, from somebody who thinks differently than I do. Security needs that. We need more creativity in the solutions because if you look over the history of security, we're still preaching the same crap today that we were 20 years ago. It's the same thing, right? Training and awareness. You got to tell people not to click on links. They're still clicking on links. You got to tell people, well, choose strong passwords. Wait, I know. Instead of a strong password, choose a passphrase. That'll work. Same thing, right? We need more creativity. We got to figure out a lot of difficult problems. So two sources for if we're going to tackle the supply and demand, it's either career changers or younger people entering the workforce. That's how you're going to get them. That's where you're going to solve it. The career changers, how are you going to get here? If you're in this career and you want to get into this career, what are your options? I think two main options are to, go out and get a degree, go out and get a bachelor's degree, because you have to make such an abrupt shift from where you were doing to what you're doing now. And so you're going to need some kind of like definitive, almost like line in the sand that this is what you used to do, this is what you do now. So that transition, if you want to, maintain that same quality of life, maybe a bachelor's degree might be one way to do that. It's expensive, $20,000, $60,000 or more. And it might get you an entry-level job, which might be, depending on what it is, maybe $50,000, $60,000 a year. So that's difficult. You need to figure out a way to pay for that. The other one is certification. So you can do training to pass a CISSP or something else, Network Plus, Security Plus, a good starter kind of certifications, lots of them. That's also going to cost you money. And then you have to take this risk at the end. Like, am I going to fork over the $700? Think I can pass the test? Will I pass the test? Gosh, I don't know. If I don't, it's going to be hard to pay rent this week. That's a big deal, right? So cost is always a barrier to entry. Now it's difficult a lot of times to get your employer to pay for this stuff because they know what's probably going to happen, right? They're going to invest $20,000, $60,000 or $2,000, $5,000, $10,000 into you, and you're going to improve your skills. Well, I'm going to take that and go get paid more too, right? So, I mean, there's ways to tackle that, but it's difficult to get funding sometimes for these things. Younger people, we've made a lot of improvement here too, but we just have so much further to go. When you look at, information security, privacy, and safety, those are three things that can't be separated anymore. Now we have physical controls that are controlled electronically, right, with technical things, your cars, medical devices, smart homes, on and on. So now we're not. It used to be you would just put your account or your data at risk, but now you're putting safety at risk. So this has truly become like a really critical life skill. So even if you're not teaching younger children how to get a job in security, you still need to teach them security because they're going to grow up with this. So not enough education options. I think we're getting better. The thing with our education system now is it's so spotty, right? In some parts of the country, some school districts, they're doing a better job than others. It's all over the board. So early education, starting programs, they're working. There are lots of examples of that. If you look around, free education, you've got the mentor program, SANS is the Cyber Aces online, Cyber Cyber Degrees. There's a bunch of different places where you can get additional training. I think you can become super expert in this industry and never pay a dime for your training. You may have to buy books here and there and stuff like that, or maybe buy an operating system, buy a computer, whatever. But in terms of paying for actual classes, I think you can get by without ever paying if you wanted to. Mentorship is difficult. That requires a relationship. It's harder during the pandemic for sure, but it's reaching out to somebody in the industry and asking them, or just starting a relationship. A lot of what mentorship is too is comes down to the chemistry between the people that, the mentor and the mentee. Higher intangibles, always higher intangibles. Internships have become a lot more popular, but we definitely need more internships too. And not just internships, but paid internships. People have bills to pay. So, and if you're going to get work out of them, might as well pay them to do it. So those are all things there. Our industry can be intimidating to people, I think. So it's not maybe all that conducive to attracting and retaining talent, certainly in certain parts, certain demographics in our industry. So women today make up almost 50% of the world's population, but 24% of the cybersecurity or information security workforce. That's actually really good from where it was. It was only a couple of years ago, we were at 11%. So that's progress. Let's keep that going. There's some super talented women in our industry too. So that's really cool to see. 26% of our workforce is non-Caucasian or white male. People of color make up less than 20%. 8% of VC investors. This industry runs so much on VC. 8% are women and fewer than 1% are Black. And this isn't just a Black or white thing or a woman-man thing. For me, it goes back to the perspectives, right? We need to have different perspectives if we're going to solve some of these problems. That's why I like it. And it's funny, I was just talking to a Black lady who just passed her Security Plus, and just said congratulations. She said we just struck up a conversation, and I said, no, I don't want to add to your, I don't want you to feel overwhelmed, but I want you to feel encouraged that our industry needs more of you, the demographic you represent. And she responded back, she said, that's what motivates me. I'm like, good, that's cool. We just need more of that. I mean, there's plenty of work for everybody. So it's not like it's not like somebody's going to be taking a job from you, because, it's none of that. Right. Other things, male dominated, there's that bro culture. And that's just a quote just to justify, what I was saying with that. Yeah, it still exists. Promote and participate in more diversity initiatives and programs. There's a partial list of things for women. So if you are a female, and I'm guessing there's probably some LGBT, I don't know all the letters. There's probably a lot of those too. I don't mean to be offensive that I don't know all the letters. I just don't. But these are some places you can go for, some women's stuff. The Women's Society in Cyberjutsu is really grown quite a bit. It's a cool place. Other stuff this is for other, underrepresented, I think, demographics, Blacks in Cybersecurity, Black Cybersecurity Association, International Consortium of Minority Cybersecurity Professionals. There aren't quite as many of these groups as there are in the women's groups. So if you don't find one you like, start one. Right. And one more thing, this is just, I do free stuff all the time and I do weird stuff. So this is just, I just wrote this book like I don't know, it's like a weekend or something. I wanted to see if how hard it is to publish a book on Apple. I was like, well, I'll just try one, and just did it. So it's not like super high quality, but whatever, some stuff there. I want to learn some of that. It's free. All right, so now we covered who we are, who I am, who Ryan is a little bit, who Brad is a little bit. We went through the companies a little bit. We talked about the cybersecurity or information security talent shortage problem a little bit. I think if you were to summarize that, the first section, we're pretty good people. Just, I'm weird. And that there's opportunity for you. It doesn't matter where you come from. It doesn't matter, what your past is, what your history is. It doesn't matter how many years IT you got, or if you've got none. There's a place for you in this industry. So I just want to encourage you to keep going, do it. All right, syllabus. This is how we're going to teach this year. So you won't see me again until May 3rd. And it's funny, we did this randomly, truly random, where we assigned the classes. Now, Brad is the one that the guy always gets stuck with security models. That's like, that's no fun. Security models is like boring. That's as dry as it gets. So if you are a drinker, that'd be the night to probably have a couple of beers on hand or something, because I'm not a drinker, but it's dry. You just got to fight through it. I mean, it's memorization. But then I got like my bread and butter. I mean, I don't even need the book to teach that stuff. Communications and network security. That's where I grew up. That's my jam. So that's cool. I got that. And then Ryan's kind of sprinkled out throughout the rest of it. But I think this is also will be posted in the study group. Yeah, this is us. That's where we're at right now. This is a note. So all classes do start at 6 p.m. Central Daylight Time if you want it to be live. We will probably say things, during the live classes. So live classes are better if you can make them, because what happens if you start stacking up, you start putting off. So keeping in this rhythm of Monday and Wednesday nights should be okay. We tried to schedule this every year to be before summer break, because when summer break comes, get outside, enjoy the summer. We did also put in some breaks here because we go pretty fast, and you're probably going to want to, do a little catch up and spend some time with your family or gaming, whatever you do. All right, so class schedule, boatload of information to memorize. You will enjoy the breaks. Me, Brad, and Ryan are doing all the classes. No class on these dates. Use this time to do healthy stuff. Exercise, spend time with loved ones, whatever you do. And there are times, I just want to warn you, there are times it just gets dry. I mean, there's no way that you can make it like Oh, this is so exciting. We're talking about Bell LaPadula today. Yeah. No, it's not like that. It's dry. So, just the way some of it is. It's not all like that. Or maybe it's just Brad. I didn't think of that because Brad teaches that one. Huh? Think about it. Right, every class is structured similarly. This is how we're going to do classes. So tonight is just kind of the one-off kind of introduction class. This is, but every class we do it kind of this way. We start with questions, right? We'll have questions on almost a quiz. Well, and actually, we'll address questions that we saw either in the study group or got an email or something. We'll address those questions. We'll create a quiz, and we'll quiz on what we taught about last class. I think I might implement. If any of you guys watched the security shit show, I did a Jeopardy shit show, which is Jeopardy, the game. I might do that. I might create a couple of gaming nights. That might be fun. Plus, it's a memorization thing, so that would be good. Current events. We'll talk about some current events. There are things happening in our industry, all the time. There's no shortage of current events and somebody to rake over the coals. So we'll do a little bit of that. Then we'll get to the lecture, and then we'll have the homework piece. This study group, we do have a study group. If you don't know where that is, or you need to get into it, or don't know what to do, check your emails that you got for this class, or email CISSP mentor at FRSecure.com, and we'll get you the information. Use it however you want, but don't abuse it. We will, myself and others from FRSecure, Ryan, Brad, and Chad, and others, we'll be in and out of that study group, occasionally to help. Things like that. But at the end of the day, we really will require you to police yourself, right? So right now, if you post anything in that group, it goes to a moderation hold, which means we have to approve it. The moderator has to approve it. We're going to remove that tonight and let this thing fly. That's the same thing we did in 2020 last year. It worked out really, really well. So that's what's going to happen there. It's your group. If you decide to participate, I think you'll get a hell of a lot more out of it. If you don't want to participate, you won't. That's it. This is what the mentor program study group looks like. If you want to post new topics or new questions, it's the new topic link on the far left. You could do a poll if you like doing polls. Those are kind of fun. The calendar is there, so you have the class schedule there. Messages. If you click messages, you'll see all the messages that have been posted so far to the group. That's sort of how you use it. You can, in your own settings, you can either get digests for messages, or you can do, get an email for every one of them. Depending on how active it gets, you may want to do the digest thing. We are here to help. Truly, nothing makes me happier than seeing other people succeed. I've, almost 30 years in this industry. You really transition to I want other people to do better. I want other people to kick some ass. I kind of feel like I've kicked some ass, and I'll try books or something now. So we are here to help however we can help you. If you have questions, that's an email. You can send it. You can email us directly. I don't have any blocks on my email, but I wouldn't suggest it because it might be a week or two. I mean, I'm still trying to catch up on emails from last week, so it'll just be slow. Content will be made available to all the students, so we will get you the slide decks. We will try to get you slide decks. We usually try to get them before class, so you'll have the slide decks that you can go through and maybe make notes on or do whatever you want to do with those before the class. Sometimes we can't get it out to you before class because we've got other stuff going on, but that's our goal. Sometimes we'll create some handouts and other stuff, but we'll give all that stuff to you. That's another good reason why it's good to be live, is the handout stuff and some of the sort of discussion there. Video recordings are available immediately after class as soon as we kill the feed, assuming the damn feed worked, which we had the choppy thing tonight. I'm going to blame it on sunspots, probably. Yeah, but they're available as soon as we end the stream. All right, so what is the CISSP? This is the place to start. If you haven't been here yet, go here. Get this ultimate guide to the CISSP. This is official stuff, and it's a nice reference, right? It was actually really well written, in my opinion, but you can go log on there. That's not actually my phone number. That is actually my email address, though. What is 362-912? We should call that and see who it is. Don't. All right, CISSP. This is what's kind of in that. We're just going to walk through this really quick, and it'll give you some good information. A lot of us struggle. Should I be doing? That's another. I mean, we get that question a lot. Am I ready for the CISSP? Should I even go for that yet? Should I go this other route? There's no one way. Just like there's no one way into this industry, there's no one way to go about this. You'll feel it out. The cool thing about studying for the CISSP is even if you don't take the exam, you're going to use that information forever in this industry. So that's good stuff. So the first thing is the experience thing. You do need to have 5 years of experience, cumulative experience, not consecutive, cumulative experience in 2 of the 8 domains. Now, if you've been in IT and things like that, you can probably find, and if you have questions, we can probably find the 5 years of experience. If you can't, and you still want to take the exam, you become what's called an associate of ISC squared, which is good because I've seen a lot of people put on their resume, associate of ISC squared, and then just like an explanation, like basically I demonstrated all the knowledge required to pass the exam. I'm just looking for the experience. That sometimes can be a nice door opener. So just because you don't have the 5 years experience, don't let that scare you away. If you do have the 5 years experience, you can get the CISSP if you do the other stuff. And I think it'll be easier for you to pass the exam because that experience does help, right? Those 3 things. You might have all the intangibles in the world. You read the book a billion times, but that experience thing just lacking. You might find it more difficult to pass the exam. Not impossible by any means. So anyway, go for it. 5 years, cumulative experience in 2 or more of the domains. So facts about the CISSP, it's been around for a long time. Yeah, it's been around for a long time. I'm trying to think I'm at a single digit. So when you pass your the member IDs for CISSP are consecutive. So like my number is considerably lower than the newest CISSPs because I got mine, I don't know, 10, 15 years ago or something. But I met a guy who had, I think it was number 6. I can't remember exactly what number it was, but I think it was number 6. Just dang. The funny thing, well, I'm not going to talk about it. Yeah, forget it. Average CISSP salary, there's a different salary there, a little bit more, 131,030 compared to the 99,000 you remember back in that slide, it said 99,000 and certifications can add more. Maybe that's part of the add more. 93% of CISSPs are lifers. I don't know what a lifer is. Work all across the globe, 8 languages, 882 locations. It's legit. It's for sure. It's the gold standard, they say, in our industry. So once you pass it, and I'm going to say once you pass it because if you're going to take it, you're going to pass it, right? Why wouldn't you? It's good. You should feel good about that. It's something to celebrate. It does take a lot of work, and it's going to help you in your career, guaranteed. Benefits of being none of these benefits really, and whatever. If you're interested in that kind of stuff, there's this kind of stuff too for benefits. This is how the exam is sort of broken down. Now, it's going to be different sometime after May. Don't know exactly when after May, but sometime after May, they're coming out with the domain refresh and the percentages change. Not enough to where it really makes that big a difference, slight changes. But these are the domains: security and risk management, asset security. Asset security is really important because how could you possibly protect the things you don't know you have, right? Logic would tell you that. A lot of stuff in security is logic. It's not like some abstract, like where the hell did that come from? Everything fits together in security really nicely. So once you start getting the foundation and the basics, together, you start putting those correlations, man, makes it beautiful, actually. Security architecture and engineering, communication and network security, that's my jam. Identity and access management, I think that's also what I'm teaching. Security assessment and testing, security operations, software development security. Software development security, that would be the one that, out of all of these, that would be the hardest one to keep up with right now, because, man, there's a lot of stuff happening in there. All right, this is the exam itself, 100 to 150 items or questions. They call them items. It's adaptive testing, which means that it's going to change based on how you answer the previous question. There's an algorithm. It's somewhat complicated, but if you can demonstrate, according to the algorithm, mastery in 2 questions, well, then I'm not going to ask you any more questions in that domain, and I'll start going on other ones. If you start getting them wrong, right and wrong and right and wrong, you might get a whole bunch of questions in one domain. That's sort of how the adaptive stuff works. Until the algorithm determines that you know what you're doing, or you've got enough knowledge in this area, it'll just keep going until you hit the 150. If you hit the 150, that's probably a bad sign, because it couldn't figure it out, which means it probably didn't pass. You have 3 hours to do the exam. I need a score of 700 on a scale of 1,000. Yeah, it's all computer-based training or testing now. So there's more information about the computerized adaptive testing stuff. Basically what I just told you. There's official training. I would be remiss if I didn't tell you that there's other training options. This is the CISSP mentor program. I dig ours, but there are others. So if you get through the CISSP mentor program, you feel like I still need some more, you could go get the official CISSP training. Anything with the word official on it usually means more money. So be prepared for that. This is how you do it. 4 steps. Study. A lot of it is memorization. Truly memorization. It's memorize, 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 which is what makes it kind of dry. When I took my exam, we didn't have a lot of the things that we have now. We didn't have computer adaptive testing. We did it on the things we get a pencil, number 2 pencil, and you had to circle in the, can't remember what they call that, but we had that kind of testing, and it was 6 hours. I had to drive to somewhere west of Milwaukee because that was the closest exam station then. It's a lot more convenient now. But they also didn't have training, so you had books. And the way I studied, and this might be a way that works for you, and that's why I'm sharing it, is I read the book the first time, cover to cover. I didn't understand hardly anything that was in the book. I mean, there were some words I was like, okay, I get that, but I was basically pretty confused the first time I read it. The second time I read it, I was focusing on just putting concepts together, putting blobs together. Where, these words that I didn't understand, now I understand a little better and they fit within the context of things. And then the third time I read the book cover to cover, it was focused on mastery. So it just took reading the book 3 times for me back then. The test has changed a lot since then, but that might be an approach that works for you. So study, pass, get endorsed. So you need to be endorsed. Now you can be endorsed by another member of FRSecure, another CISSP. Back when I was doing it, you had to be endorsed by an officer of the company you worked for, who would basically attest. Endorsement means that they're going to attest to your qualifications. They're going to attest to that this person sort of seems like a good person, kind of thing. Endorsement. I will do endorsements. We do endorsements for people that have passed the exam. So if you have trouble finding a CISSP, just email CISSPmentor@FRSecure.com and we'll help you out. That's sometimes intimidating too. I'm going to go talk to another security person maybe that you don't know very well and ask them, hey, will you endorse me? Because they're like, I don't even know you. And then earn CPEs. This is the ongoing piece. So once you've gotten your CISSP, you'll have to pay your maintenance fees, which is annual, and you'll need to keep your CPEs up. It's not as hard as it seems, 120 CPEs. Write a book and you can cover 3 years worth of them. Every time you give a presentation, when you donate some time to a local ISC squared chapter, and there's just so many different ways that you can get CPEs, and that's good. And then every 3 years, so they do those CPEs within the 3-year cycle. So basically, it works out to being 40 a year. Pretty easy. And there's other things. So there's this study resources, which we're going to go through real quick. We're going to go through this exam outline. So again, this is what it looks like: 3 hours, 100 to 150. Now, they watch you pretty tight, right? It's a proctored exam. And so they might ask you to do some things that just seem awkward. Like, what do you mean I can't eat right now? That kind of stuff. It's just the way it is. All right, so domain 1, this is the old content, because I'm going to get to the new in a minute. But this is going to be the foundation of the things that we're going to talk about in the course, and then we're going to cover the new stuff, sprinkle that in. So this is security and risk management, which this is a pretty fun one. I think you guys will enjoy this. Brad will be doing this one next week, or sorry, Tuesday. Wait, Wednesday, whatever day is not today and later. Yeah, it's a good domain. That one I don't think you'll have too much. You won't be like, oh my gosh, this is so boring. This one's a pretty good domain. Yeah, pretty straightforward. Asset security is number 2. These things are really important. They're foundational. Also, asset management. Like I said, you can't protect what you did. You can't protect the things you don't know you have. And the second thing, like data classification, not everything needs to be protected the same way, right? It's not all that valuable. Some stuff is more valuable than others. That's the data classification piece. Owners, processors, those are really about roles and responsibilities. Who does what with the data? Who's the one that determines this is high risk data or confidential data or secret data? Data remnants, data that's just left over. When you delete something on your hard drive, it's still there. Same sort of thing with flash drives a little bit, but flash drives aren't magnetic drives, so it's weird. Collection limitation, all that stuff. Data security controls, that stuff is a pretty good domain as well. Brad will be teaching this one also. Security architecture and engineering. Yeah, it's cool. Cryptography is fun. That's my favorite one actually to teach is cryptography. Good foundational stuff in this domain also. Not too, it's 3.2. So the fundamental concepts of security models, that's the part that gets like super dry. Brad. Sorry. And Ryan, you guys can share that. So Brad, I would just skip over, 3.2, 3.3, hit the rest of that and say, oh yeah, I left this for you, Ryan, or something. You guys can talk about it. Then April 26th, we're going to take a break. Then we'll get back on it. Domain 3, we'll be finishing up this domain. That's Brad again. And then domain 4, May 3rd, that'll be back to me. This stuff is fun. If you're a techie person, okay, so the thing with this domain is if you're technical, this will be fairly easy. If you're not technical, this will be the domain I think that you struggle with the most. That's normal. Doesn't mean you can't overcome it. It's just that's the way this one works. This is the most technical of the domains. Yeah, it's really fun though. And I'll be teaching both those May 3rd and May 5th. Identity and access management, also mine on May 10th. Now, the thing about identity and access management, no, I'm not going to teach it right now. Good stuff though. May 12th, we take a break. Then we get back in domain 6 on the 17th. Ryan's got this one, security assessment and testing. This is where Security Studio, this is their bread and butter, really, on assessments and testing. Information security is about risk management. We can't manage something you don't understand, so therefore you must assess. There's your logic, right? Assessments are really important. How would I know what to do next if I haven't assessed what I've done or where I'm at? One of the first things that a CISO does after establishing some rapport with peers and executives is assess where you're at. What do I have? What am I working with? Where's the risk? That kind of stuff. Domain 7, security operations. This one is fun. 7.2 is kind of neat where you start getting into the legal stuff about security. The law is far, far, far behind where we're at in technology. So expect a lot of work to be done. That Senate Intelligence Committee meeting I was talking about after the SolarWinds breach, that was what they're trying to do is figure out what the new policy is going to be to prevent these things. Yeah. The sad thing is, okay, I'm going to preach on that later. I'll get to that when I get to that domain about firewall. It'll be good. This is class 10. That's May 19th, May 24th. This is a big domain. Ryan's going to probably finish it up. And then domain 8, our last domain. Not so bad. Software development security. If now you don't have to be a developer. Don't get intimidated by that to understand this domain. Developers generally aren't that good at security either, depending on where you're at. So this one won't be too difficult. I'll be teaching this one, and then we'll be wrapping it up. The last 2 classes, we'll play games, memory type games. We'll give you discounted access to some testing sites, ones that we recommend, and ones that have been around for quite a while, to do that final preparation, before we send you off. Now, when we send you off at the end, it's not really sending you off because you can still reach out to us, but it's, and we keep the study group open. So that's open indefinitely. So just because the class is over doesn't mean you can't still continue to study, because lots of you won't be ready for the exam anyway at the end of the beginning of June. All right, once again, for reference, that's what we just covered. This is our book. So if your book looks like that, you got the right book. Those are the ISBN numbers. I've had a question. I have a different book. Am I still going to be okay? Yeah, probably. Most of the books are, it's the same content, it's just arranged differently, different perspectives, different stories. This is the book we'll be teaching from, meaning we'll be referencing exact page numbers and things as we go through it. But if you have a different book, you'll find it, probably find it too. What, 5 years old? No way, it could still be relevant. It is. It's the best book still for the CISSP in the current content. We don't know necessarily what's coming in the refresh exactly. So the details of what's coming in that refresh, we'll have to wait. If you don't have it, there's lots of places you can get it. I get mine. I like the Adobe Acrobat format because, yeah, I can copy and paste and do all kinds of funky stuff with that. But whatever format you like. All right, let's dig in real quick. We've only got like 10 minutes. Dogs are cool. You knew that. I knew that. How to prepare for the exam, how to take the exam. You are not required to take the exam. Everybody has their own pace. There is no one way to prepare for the exam. Some people use flashcards. Some people use just reading. Some people just watch videos. Some people need hands-on. You need to find your right place. And as I think the most important thing, well, not most important, a lot of people overanalyze. They do this analysis paralysis thing. Just jump in, just start reading, right? I mean, even if none of it makes any sense to you, read it again, right? Watch the video, read again. You know what I mean? It'll start to make sense. And everybody has their own preferred method. Once you find, or once you know your preferred method, look for resources that support that preferred method. Look for other people on the study group that also have that same preferred method. Maybe they've got resources that you can draw on that you didn't know about, or maybe you can share some of your own resources. It's always nicer to go than to stick with it, right? It was supposed to be a joke, but it's dumb. So anyway, just that is the important thing. Persistence, persevere, keep pushing forward. You'll get through it. Again, used to be 6 hours or 250 questions. Now this is what it all looks like. There's 2 types of questions, actually 4. One is multiple choice. And the multiple choice things, ISC squared has always been notorious for. They're going to give you 4 options. 2 of them you can eliminate right out of the gate. They're not even relevant to the answer. And then you're usually with these other 2. One of the 2 will be exactly kind of what ISC squared said was the way to do it. And then the other one will be like, what? I could do it that way too. Go with the ISC squared way. That's the one that's right in their mind. You might do it different in practice and it might be totally legit, but you have to do it the ISC squared way. Advanced innovative type questions, scenario questions, where they'll give you a scenario and you need to answer the appropriate response. drag and drop, which is, put these things in order kind of things, these things correlate, whatever, and then hotspot type questions. So click in the right places. That's essentially how the exam is. But you did hear the exam was changing May 1st. We're getting a domain refresh is what they're calling it. This is where you can find information about the domain refresh. And one of the questions is, how is the exam changing? It is changing. It'll be interesting to see how they handle this, because the content just isn't there yet, widely distributed for people to be taking their exam on May 2nd with new information. So we sort of guess. We know what they're going to talk about, maybe not the details of specific questions and things. So this is what it looks like, effective now and effective on May 1st. So domain 1, we've got some added things. The biggest thing that's changed here is the supply chain risk management concepts piece. That's also sort of third-party information security risk management or vendor risk management, but also has to do with, there's probably going to be some software things, thrown in there. Cloud-based for sure. So I wouldn't be surprised if we saw something about CSA there. That's the Cloud Security Alliance, maybe their CAIQ questionnaire, that kind of stuff. But we'll cover all that stuff. But that's the biggest change in this domain. Weights are the same. Domain 2, asset security, EOL is here, end of life and end of service or end of support. That's not all that difficult to sort of understand. Data lifecycle is also important. So from data creation, acquisition, all the way through to destruction. But none of this stuff is rocket science. We're not going to have any troubles at all working through this and giving you some really, really good content on these domains. Security architecture and engineering. Security models are still there. You see BIBA, Star Model, Bella, Padula. Those are the kind of the security models sort of things that we were talking about that are just kind of really, really dry. But they condensed this a little bit. Exam weight is the same. Shouldn't have any problems with this either. Encryption is still, very much there. It'd be nice to see them drop some things like maybe they drop DES finally. Maybe they drop, no, the MD5 is still being used a lot, but it'll be pretty straightforward. Yeah, sort of wish they would have spared you that, but they didn't. You still get it. Domain 4, communication and network security. It's the same. Mine is the same. I can take my slides from last year, put pretty pictures on it, and that's it. The reason being is IP version 4 hasn't changed. Networking really is still pretty much working the way it used to. There's different techniques and things, but for the most part, it's the same. They dropped the percentage point. Identity and access management, also not much different. Implementation is probably, the authentication systems themselves is probably the biggest change there. Not a problem. Domain 6, security assessment and testing, that also didn't change much. These are basics and fundamentals. The things about basics and fundamentals with information security is they just don't change much, right? Foundation, you look at foundations of houses. Concrete is still concrete. They pour it a little different. Same thing with security stuff. If you don't build a good security program or anything that's going to last without a solid foundation, and fundamentals, basics of security programs are foundational. So they don't change too much. Security operations, there are some tactical things that sort of change, but you can see that both of the domains are from what it was to what it is. It's not a drastic change there. Configuration management is probably the biggest one, which I can't remember who's teaching this one. I think it might be Ryan, both Ryan and Brett are awesome at configuration management and ITIL type E stuff. Software development, security, doesn't change that much. We actually add a percentage onto the weight, but easy. All right, real quick, what questions for you? I always ask this and I wait, but we're trying to move forward a little bit faster because we had those technical issues, so I'm going a little faster. But a question for you, what is information security? I ask this a lot of people because we just assume that people know. Some people say, well, you're just talking semantics. Yeah, semantics matter because if you look up the definition of semantics, it's the meaning of words, right? So if I'm using the word information security, is that the same as cybersecurity? Do they mean the same thing? They're different. And it's also important for me to understand that information security is managing risks, right? That's what security is. You can't eliminate risk. You'd have to eliminate the information for that. Well, this is another one. This is Ryan's preferred definition, both valid. Rules, plans, actions to protect people and information. Mine's maybe a little more tactically, maybe. But anyway, these are very good definitions of information security that, they kind of define what it is you do, right? In the context of this, I do, all my work happens. So it's managing risks, not eliminating risks. Don't ever think it's eliminating, because people want to do that. I've been asked so many times over the years, I'll ask, a CEO, what's your expectation? What do you want out of this security program? A legitimate question. And even if and I would take, I don't know, but CEOs don't say, I don't know that much. But a lot of times they'll say, well, keep me out of the news. I can't. I can't, I can do my best. I can reduce the risk of you ending up in the news, but I can't keep you out of the news because risk doesn't work that way. You have to manage risk. In order for me to manage risk, I have to assess risk. And after I assess risk, I have to make risk decisions. We're going to go through this, later. Accept, transfer, mitigate, avoid. Those are the 4 choices I get with risks. And then you got to put in plans in place to manage it. So it's not eliminating risk. Turn everything off and you still wouldn't eliminate risk. Confidentiality, integrity, and availability. We'll get to this later too. That's our CIA is an acronym we use for that. And it's balance. It's always balance between those. People usually overemphasize confidentiality. It's keeping things secret. The integrity piece is making sure that the data is accurate. There's different types of accuracy, but integrity, but essentially making sure the data is accurate and certainly available to the people who need it to perform their functions. That's why we get business continuity. That's why we get disaster recovery, incident response, all that stuff. All right. And it's administrative, physical, and technical controls. It's not an IT issue. If we made one mistake early on in this industry, it was we put it into IT. Still today, we're reporting up through CIOs, and the message gets watered down. It's different. It's not an IT issue. It's a business issue. Administrative, this is sayings that we have. It's easier to go through your secretary than it is to go through your firewall. Who cares about your firewall if I can steal your server? Right? That just drives home the point that this is also about administrative controls, the people part of security, and it's also about physical controls. All right, so risk. Another question for you. What about risk? What is risk? This is a word we use all the time. It's not just that board game. That board game is pretty fun, but that's not what I'm talking about. We overuse this word a lot. We use it in financial risk management, compliance risk management, reputational risk management, information security risk management. It's used a lot. No, I'm not doing that. Maybe I'd do that. I definitely wouldn't do that. Yes, 100%, absolutely, and please, I would write that. So, but the other important part of that, those are risk decisions, right? We do this stuff all the time. We just need to apply it to information security. This stuff comes natural to us because it's our physical world. You can touch it. You can relate to it much better. It's harder when you talk about, the digital realm or the digital world until you sort of get there, right? It feels very awkward, the first while, but then it does come natural. So risk is this. It's the likelihood of something bad happening, the impact if it did. That's it. How likely is it that a bad thing, an event could happen, and then what would be the impact? Meaning, how much would it hurt, basically, financially, physically, whatever. That's risk. Now, risk is, I've seen people try to make the case before that risk is, well, you can have the risk of a good thing happening. That's not risk. That's chance. Risk is the likelihood of something bad happening. It's always bad. There's a bad thing and the impact if it did. These are derived from threats and vulnerabilities. So, and we're going to drive this home more, right? So don't worry about it if you're not getting it right now. This is just kind of an introduction to these concepts, but a threat without a vulnerability is just a threat. There's no risk. Same the other way around, right? A vulnerability without a threat is just a vulnerability. It's just a weakness. There's no risk. So I'm not doing anything. So, because a lot of times, and that's the difference, right? If I do a vulnerability, let's say I do a vulnerability scan of my environment, and I find all of these vulnerabilities, I'm like, oh my God, I got to go fix these things. Maybe, maybe not. If there's no applicable threats, then don't worry about it, or make it a much lower priority until those threats come. All right. Our principles here at these are just things that make sense. These are important things to remember when you're practicing security, when you're working in security. Remember that a business is in business to make money. This is important, or a business is in business to serve a mission. Whatever the reason the business is in business, you need to align with that. If you restrict the business's ability to fulfill its mission or to make money, it's not going to be long before you'll be looking for another job, or you'll be really, really frustrated that nobody's listening to you. So it's important to get in alignment with the business. If you can, enable the business. If you can, help the business make more money. That takes a little more creativity, but it can be done. Information security is a business issue. We always have to keep that top of mind. This is fun too. I don't know if you knew that, but this is fun. It's tiring. It is possible to have too much fun some days, but it is fun. Remember to have fun. It's unlikely that somebody's going to die because you made a wrong call, although the likelihood of that happening is growing over time because we're starting to get more stuff that harms people. People are the biggest risk. Compliant, secure are totally different things. Compliant is doing what you've been told to do. Secure is managing risk. Two different things. No common sense in information security. This is important to remember because what I think is common sense isn't to you or somebody else. And so if I don't keep that in mind, I can get frustrated, or I can start getting jaded, resentful. If it's not making sense, either I'm off or I need to explain myself better typically. Secure is relative. There's no such thing as, this is playing off that risk elimination. Can't have risk elimination and you can't have infinite risk. So it's got to be on a scale somewhere in between those two. That's what I'm talking about, security being relative. Should drive business. It's not one size fits all. So because XYZ company went out and bought this cool blinky light and they're getting a lot of use out of it, doesn't mean that you're going to. So be careful copying people. And then there's no easy button. It does take a lot of work. We get paid well because we work hard. All right, that's it. So that's it for today. Basic stuff, right? We didn't get deep into anything. I really want to go back to just welcoming you. This should be fun. We should have a good time together. Yeah, we'll make a whole bunch of hay out there. So we're excited to be part of your journey. This will be a rewarding experience. Some of it will be hard. Some of it will be really dry, extremely dry. Some of it will be overwhelming. Some of it will be easy, right? It'll be kind of like, duh, I know that. Cool, right? Don't give up either way. Don't get frustrated. If you do get frustrated, reach out to somebody, right? I really want more security people in this industry, and I want more good security people, not the jerks. So if you're a jerk, then go ahead and give up. But I don't think you're a jerk. I don't know you, but I don't think you're a jerk. All right, so this is your homework. This is what I'm asking you to do, to go out here. So this is s2me.io. You can use fake information if you want to. You don't have to, sign up with your own stuff. It's better if you do, because this should be something you come back to. And the reason why I want you to do this is because this is going to be good for you, right? It's good to get your own. What's my own personal information security risk assessment? Where should I improve? Can I give feedback? Give feedback to us. I like this part of it, but I didn't like that part of it. So you're helping to fix the broken industry. It's free. It will always be free. The state of North Dakota just issued this to all their state residents. Yeah, it's a cool deal. That's one part. So do it yourself. Do it with your wife. Do it with your husband. Do it with your significant other. Do it by yourself. Doesn't matter. Just do it. And then the second thing is tell at least 2 friends about it. The reason why this is important is because right now, the state of security, the state of information security for consumers is extremely low. The problem is our technology is going much faster. Our technology adoption is going much faster than our ability to secure it. So people at home are going to end up paying a price if they're not already. And I think, the sad thing is I'm trying not to get out ahead of it. I think some of it will be safety issues. So this is good for you to learn that stuff at home and hopefully practice that stuff and take that stuff seriously. But also, this will give you good experience in talking to other people about security. So if you've never talked to anybody else about information security before, this is a great opportunity to do that. You need to get over that hump too. So what happens if they ask you a question that you can't answer? Then what? Well, you have Google. You can do that, or you can email us. Yeah, so it's important that we get out ahead of this more. And like I said, that's a completely free tool. We don't market to you, nothing like that. There's a notification piece in that tool where you can get notified of breaches that we found related to your email address that you use to sign up. You can turn that off if you don't like it. Get the book if you don't have it already. Read chapter 1. It's only 10 pages. Like I said, really light tonight. We'll be covering domain 1, chapter 2 on Wednesday. Brad's going to be your guy on that. Follow us on Twitter. Brad doesn't tweet much. Ryan tweets a little bit, kind of a tweet. I tweet too much. But anyway, that's that. So I think that's all I've got for tonight. I hope you guys I'm only 10 minutes late. That's not too bad. I'm going to blame it on technical issues. But I'm super excited you guys are here. This is such a privilege and an honor to do this every week. So take care. Get out there, sign up, do good things. Thanks.